Hello, I am Tootle. Golden Books presents Tootle by Gertrude Crampton, pictures by Tibor Gergely. Hello, I am Tootle.
Would you like to have this story read to you? Would you like to explore at your own pace? Or would you like to go to the activity center? Would you like to explore at your own pace?
Far, far to the west of everywhere is the village of Lower Trainswitch. All the baby locomotives go there to learn to be big locomotives. The young locomotives steam up and down the tracks, trying to call out the long, sad toot, toot of the big locomotives. But the best they can do is a gay little tootle. Lower Trainswitch has a fine school for engines. There are lessons in whistle blowing, stopping for a red flag waving, puffing loudly when starting, coming around curves safely, screeching when stopping, and clicking and clacking over the rails. Someday I am going to be able to call out like the big locomotives. Of all the things that are taught in the Lower Trainswitch School for Locomotives, the most important is, of course, staying on the rails no matter what. We must always stay on the tracks, no matter what. Staying on the rails no matter what. We must always stay on the tracks, no matter what. We must always stay on the tracks, no matter what.
The head of the school is an old engineer named Bill. Bill always tells the new locomotives that he will not be angry if they sometimes spill the soup pulling the diner, or if they turn the milk to butter now and then. But they will never, never be good trains unless they get 100 A+ in staying on the rails no matter what. All the baby engines work very hard to get 100 A+ in staying on the rails. After a few weeks, not one of the engines in the Lower Trainswitch School for Trains would even think of getting off the rails, no matter what. Toot, toot. I am the flyer that goes to New York and Chicago.
One day, a new locomotive named Tootle came to school. Here is the finest baby I've seen since old 600, thought Bill. He patted the gleaming young locomotive and said, "How would you like to grow up to be the flyer between New York and Chicago?" "If a flyer goes very fast, I should like to be one," Tootle answered. "I love to go fast. Watch me." I love to go fast. Tootle, you are a fine little train. raced all around the roundhouse. "Good, good," said Bill. "You must study whistleblowing, puffing loudly when starting, stopping for a red flag waving, and pulling the diner without spilling the soup." "This is fun. I am getting faster and faster." "You are a fast little train." "We must study to become big locomotives." "But most of all, you must study staying on the rails no matter what. Remember, you can't be a flyer unless you get 100 A+ in staying on the rails." Tootle promised that he would remember and that he would work very hard. He did, too. He even worked hard at stopping for a red flag waving. Tootle did not like those lessons at all. There is nothing a locomotive hates more than stopping. "I must learn to stop at all waving red flags." "I know you do not like to stop, but you must learn."
But Bill said that no locomotive ever kept going when he saw a red flag waving. One day, while Tootle was practicing for his lesson in staying on the rails no matter what, a dreadful thing happened. He looked across the meadow he was running through and saw a fine, strong black horse. "Race you to the river," shouted the black horse, and kicked up his heels. Away went the horse. His black tail streamed out behind him and his mane tossed in the wind. Oh, how he could run! "Here I go," said Tootle to himself. "If I am going to be a flyer, I can't let a horse beat me," he puffed. "Everyone at school will laugh at me." His wheels turned so fast that they were silver streaks. The cars lurched and bumped together, and just as Tootle was sure he could win, the tracks made a great curve.
"Oh, whistle!" cried Tootle. "That horse will beat me now. He'll run straight while I take the great curve." Then the dreadful thing happened. After all that Bill had said about staying on the rails no matter what, Tootle jumped off the tracks and raced alongside the black horse. The race ended in a tie. Both Tootle and the black horse were happy. They stood on the bank of the river and talked. "It's nice here in the meadow," Tootle said. When Tootle got back to school, he said nothing about leaving the rails, but he thought about it that night in the roundhouse.
"Tomorrow I will work hard," decided Tootle. "I will not even think of leaving the rails, no matter what." And he did work hard. He practiced tootling so much that the mayor himself ran up the hill, his green coat-tails flapping, and said that everyone in the village had a headache and would he please stop tootling. So Tootle was sent to practice staying on the rails no matter what. I must practice staying on the rails no matter what. Tootle must stay on the rails.
As he came to the great curve, Tootle looked across the meadow. It was full of buttercups. "It's like a big yellow carpet. How I should like to play in them and hold one under my searchlight to see if I like better," thought Tootle. But no, I'm going to be a flyer, and I must practice staying on the rails no matter what. Tootle clicked and clacked around the great curve. His wheels began to say over and over again, "Do you like butter? Do you?" "I don't know," said Tootle crossly, "but I'm going to find out." He stopped much faster than any good flyer ever does, unless he is stopping for a red flag waving. He hopped off the tracks and bumped along the meadow to the yellow buttercups. "What fun!" said Tootle, and he danced around and held one of the buttercups under his searchlight. "I do like butter," cried Tootle. "I do." At last the sun began to go down, and it was time to hurry to the roundhouse. That evening, while the chief oiler was playing checkers with old Bill, he said, "It's queer. It's very queer, but I found grass between Tootle's front wheels today." Said Bill. "There must be grass growing on the tracks." "Not on our tracks," said the day watchman, who spent his days watching the tracks and his nights watching Bill and the chief oiler play checkers. Bill's face was stern. "Tootle knows he must get 100 A+ in staying on the rails no matter what, if he's going to be a flyer." "Hi, I am the chief oiler." "Hi, I am the day watchman. I like playing checkers almost as much as I like locomotives." "Good move." Next day, Tootle played all day in the meadow. He watched a green frog and he made a daisy chain. He found a rain barrel and he said softly, "Toot, toot," shouted the barrel. "Why, I sound like a flyer already," cried Tootle. That night, the first assistant oiler said he had found a daisy in Tootle's bell. The day after that, the second assistant oiler said that he had found hollyhock flowers floating in Tootle's 8 bowls of soup. "It is good to see you again, Tootle. I really like my daisy chain."
And then the mayor himself said that he had seen Tootle chasing butterflies in the meadow. The mayor himself said that Tootle had looked very silly, too. Early one morning, Bill had a long talk with the mayor himself. When the mayor himself left the lower Trainswitch School for Locomotives, he laughed all the way to the village. "Bill's plan will surely put Tootle back on the track," he chuckled. "I think Tootle looks silly. I like chasing butterflies. They are so pretty." "Ha ha, you cannot catch us."
Bill ran from one store to the next, buying 10 yards of this and 20 yards of that, and all you have of the other. The chief oiler and the first, second, and third assistant oilers were hammering and sawing instead of oiling and polishing. And Tootle? Well, Tootle was in the meadow watching the butterflies flying and wishing he could dip and soar as they did. I wish I could fly like the butterflies. Hi, Tootle. We like playing with you. Aren't butterflies beautiful? Not a store in Lower Trainswitch was open the next day, and not a person was at home. By the time the sun came up, every villager was hiding in the meadow along the track, and each of them had a red flag. It had taken all the red goods in Lower Trainswitch and hard work by the oilers, but there was a red flag for everyone. I have lots of work to do. Can I help, Bill?
Soon Tootle came tootling happily down the tracks. When he came to the meadow, he hopped off the tracks and rolled along the grass. Just as he was thinking what a beautiful day it was, a red flag poked up from the grass and waved hard. Tootle stopped, for every locomotive knows he must stop for a red flag waving. "I'll go another way," said Tootle. What a beautiful day! I cannot wait to get to the meadow. Stop, look, and listen.
He turned to the left, and up came another waving red flag, this time from the middle of the buttercups. When he went to the right, there was another red flag waving. There were red flags waving from the buttercups and the daisies, under the trees, near the bluebird's nest, and even one behind the rain barrel. And, of course, Tootle had to stop for each one, for a locomotive must always stop for a red flag waving. "Red flags," muttered Tootle. "This meadow is full of red flags. How can I have any fun?" Tootle, you are supposed to be on your rail. Tootle, you must stop. This is not fun anymore. Uh-oh, I think I'm going to tip over. I will never leave the rails again.
Whenever I start, I have to stop. Why did I think this meadow was such a fine place? Why don't I ever see a green flag? Just as the tears were ready to slide out of his boiler, Tootle happened to look back over his coal car. On the track stood Bill, and in his hand was a big green flag. "Oh!" said Tootle. He puffed up to Bill and stopped. "This is the place for me," said Tootle. "There is nothing but red flags for locomotives that get off their tracks." "Hooray!" shouted the people of Lower Trainswitch and jumped up from their hiding places. "Hooray for Tootle the Flyer!" "Hooray for Tootle the Flyer!" This is where I belong, on the rails. I will never leave the rails again.
Now Tootle is a famous 2 miles a minute flyer. The young locomotives listen to his advice. "Work hard," he tells them. "Always remember to stop for a red flag waving, but most of all, stay on the rails no matter what." Oh yes, we must always work hard. Wow, Tootle is now a 2 miles a minute flyer. Work hard and no matter what, stay on the rails. Hello, I am Tootle.
Would you like to have this story read to you? Would you like to explore at your own pace? Or would you like to go to the activity center? Or would you like to go to the activity center?
Hello, I am Tootle.